Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's Adam Ratliff with Adam So Fun, and today we are going to be quilting my Jelly Roll race. I made this on National Jelly Roll Race Day. We went over, I had a class at our local shop, and a bunch of people finished their Jelly Roll races. So I'm excited to get this quilted. I knew how I was going to quilt this quilt as soon as Kelley Janome and I did the video on the crosshatch, the larger crosshatch. Originally I wanted to do a 5-inch crosshatch, and then I decided, no, let's do a 4-inch crosshatch. And now I think I'm going to do like a 3.5, 3 3/4. I'm going to look. I'm going to make my design, look at it, see the actual size with my 1-to-1 zoom, and then decide from there. But I am going to crosshatch this in her way. So we're going to start from the beginning. I've never done this, so that's exciting. I'm also going to be doing the drag and drop, the Micki method, using the start point. So I'm going to do everything new. I've never done any of these techniques other than when we made the videos for them. So I'm excited because if you're out there and you're like, oh, I've never done that, I don't know if I should try it. Try it. Make something. Make a Jelly Roll race quilt and try it to see if it's something that you like a little bit more than something you might be doing. I love the way I drag and drop. I think it's easy, it's quick, but I want to know different techniques. And even when I taught, I would teach everybody the hard way to do something and then say, oh yeah, you could have hit skew. Because if you know the other way, when those easy ways don't work, you still have the harder way that might give you better results. So there's that. So I'm going to bring you close. I have to do everything. I haven't done anything yet. So we're going to create our design. I'm going to resize it. I'm going to audition a little bit. I am doing a little bit different because I have my Infinity and I have a 26-inch throat space. I'm not going to stitch, or I'm not going to make that spacing every row. I think I'm going to do maybe 3 repeats. So let's say if it's 4 inches, that's going to be 12. I'm not going to do 5, so it won't be 15. So I might stitch every 12 inches and then have that space. The important thing is I remember how big I make that initial size, the initial height, because that's the spacing I'm going to need between all the rows. But we'll get to that whenever we come over here. So yeah, we're going to start at step 1, setting up those designs, or setting up and creating that new design, and then we will audition our different sizes, see which ones we like, set our edge to edge to go, and then I will stitch it out and you can come along for the ride. Before we get into it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you're notified when new videos drop, and follow me on social media at Adam So Fun with an SEW on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And you see a lot of other things that don't happen here, like I just saw a Roadrunner yesterday, so I posted it on my page. There was one other thing that I can't think of. Oh, I will post, go follow Kelley McKenzie. Again, we made a video. I will link that other video for the kind of in-depth way that we did this. I will link a video to Micki's drag and drop. I'm gonna call it Micki's drag and drop, but it's repositioning start point instead of using needle down or the way I drag and drop with, you know, finding the place and everything. Let's see, I'll link everything below. Go follow Micki and Kelley. Kelley So with an SOSEW on Instagram. Kelley Chain McKenzie on Facebook. Micki Chapelaire on Facebook. Join the We Sew Together Facebook page. That is from Superior Threads, but Micki moderates that, so she posts a lot over there. Yeah, I'll tag them all everywhere. But yeah, go follow everybody. Follow everything. We love quilting, so go follow quilting, and I'll pull you up front close, so we'll see you in a second. All right, here we are at our favorite place, and this is our Pro Stitcher screen. I'm first going to be working on our screen. So I've got everything set up. I am running Pro Stitcher. I'm going to be running Pro Stitcher, so I'm in regulated. I like 10 stitches per inch. It's going to be personal preference. Checked all my tension, did all that. And then I want to be in cruise, which is the circle with the 2 arrows, and at 175. Anytime you're running Pro Stitcher, you want your cruise speed around 175. And we're going to jump over to our Pro Stitcher side. So now, first thing I need to do is I need to see a grid. So I'm going to go to my View tab, and I'm going to hit Grid. I can also hit it in my Quick Access tools because I have it over here, but I will go and hit Grid in the ribbon. And I'm going to need this grid because it's going to help me create my edge-to-edge design. I'm going to hit my bottom house refresh, and that's going to give me my crosshairs. And this is how we're going to create that first design. I need to go to my Pro Stitcher tab, and I am simply going to be making a zigzag. So I'm going to come down, up and down. You can do it once, you can do it twice. We'll do it twice just for fun. So I'm in my Pro Stitcher tab. I'm going to go to record, And we're going to be using this mark feature over here. One other feature we have is snap to grid. We want to make sure that's turned on. And what that's going to do, I'm going to hit mark really quick. And you're going to see, I'm going to zoom in as close as I can get. You'll see right here, when I hit mark, it's going to create a point right where my crosshairs are, okay? Now, if I hit snap to grid and I turn that on, watch, I haven't moved my machine. I'm going to hit mark again. Did you see how it moved it to over here? So this is my first point, but this is the second point because that's where the red circle with the X is. So what snap to grid does, it only lets you put points at intersections. So each of these lines is a 1/4 inch. Each of the solid lines are 1 inch. So it's going to go to the closest point that I'm near. So that one's shot all the way over here. If I turn snap to grid off and I hit mark again, you're going to see the endpoint right where my crosshairs are. So that's what snap to grid is doing. It is keeping us perfectly on grid with the computer program. I'm going to come down here and hit clear, and we're going to restart to make this. So I want to make this 2 by 2. So I'm going to come to my crosshairs. I'm going to zoom this out a little bit so we can see better. And I'm just going to use my solid lines. I want to use solid lines because it's going to be a little bit easier. So I'll get close to it and I'm going to hit mark. Now that I have my first point, I'm going to come down 2 inches and I'm going to hit mark. And then I'm going to end up moving out of the screen. So we're going to come up 2 inches and we're going to hit mark. So now I've created this first V shape, and I'm going to come down 2 inches and hit mark. And see how I'm not perfectly on that line? Let me move you like this way a little bit. I'm not perfectly on that line. If I zoom in, I'm going to show you. But it put that intersection perfectly where it needs to be. And then I am going to move over one more time. And I'm going to hit mark. This time I'm going to hit it on my handlebar because I'm right here, and why not? That's why we have them. Bottom house refresh, and now we can see that beautiful new design we've made. And let me move the machine back to where we are kind of centered in our screen. My stand is crooked. Okay, so this is our base design. So if I were to create this right now, I'm gonna baseline this. So I went over and I hit baseline. You can go to modify baseline up here as well. I'm going to go to my file tab, save, selected. I will go into my Atom file. Well, how about my ASF file? Ooh, what's in here? It brings back memories, all the different videos. And it's going to name it freehand. I'm going to hit clear and I'm going to put this as cross. That's not how you spell crosshatch. But I will get it. Crosshatch. So if I wanted a 2-inch crosshatch, I have it. Here it is. I can go to my repeat tab and I'm going to zoom out some. And if I repeat this across, it's only going to give me one line. You're thinking that's not a crosshatch. Well, what we have to do is we have to create one section of it. I'm going to turn my grid off so we can see. There we are. We're going to create one section of it. We're going to go up to our modify. We're going to baseline that so ProStitcher knows that it's one piece. We're going to edit and duplicate that. So now we have 2. I'm going to modify and flip it. And then let's see, I want to move these both together. So we're going to reposition start point, reposition start point. And now we have kind of our crosshatch. This isn't exactly what I want. So I know these are 2 inches tall. So I'm going to change this to 2 inches and move it up. And there's our crosshatch. So this is how we're going to create that crosshatch each time. But we can change the sizes now. So I'm going to just highlight this so you can see it nice. And we're going to take those jumps away. So this is what that crosshatch would look like. Looks like a bunch of X's. Depending on how you look at it, my eyes are going in and out of blurry. So depending on the size you want, this is 2 inches. If I say modify resize and I change that height to, let's say, 5 inches, now I have a 5-inch crosshatch. If I change it to 4 inches, now I have a 4-inch crosshatch because everything's set proportional because of how we did it and how we baselined it. We could come in and maybe you needed to fit it into a border. Well, you set it up like this. You need the right, well, no, you could crop the length, I guess. But you could set it up and then you can just use your plus and minus. So you can go any size with this technique, assuming it's going to fit in your throat space. And really, to do the Kelley's technique, we need 2.5 rows, because we're going to need the bottom of this row. We're going to need to be able to create the row that's coming in between. You'll see what I'm talking about when we get there. And then you need to be able to stitch out that next row. So you need those 2 rows plus a little bit of this one. So I say 2.5. So if you have a 15-inch throat space and you try to make a 5-inch crosshatch, might be a little bit too big. You might have to go 4 inches. And for those of you with Pro Stitcher Lite, I'm going to go back to Pro Stitcher Record. I don't know, depending on the version, you have this mark button. Some of you have it and some of you don't. I don't know when the version changed, because I don't use Pro Stitcher Lite, so I don't know when the version changed to take this off. But some of you will have it and some of you won't. You'll have to reach out to Pro Stitcher and say, like, when are you bringing this back? Because Mark is such a fantastic tool. So I'm going to file close, and I'm just going to clear my screen. And I'm going to file design open, and I want to open that crosshatch design, which it's right there. So I want this to be, I don't know why it says 2.2, but that's fine. I want this to be, let's say 4 inches. So I'm going to do modify, resize, and I'm just going to resize this first, 4 inches. Because then, when I work with my left and right of my quilt, because the size of my quilt, I can see how many repeats I need. So I have my design, I have it ready, we're going to baseline that, and I need to make my area. So I'm going to go to my area tab, and this is just like normal, just like you're always doing when you're quilting. I have all the lights off in here, so it's going to be hard to see. Let me turn one of them on. I'm trying to make it easiest for you all. You know how I do. And that's as far zoomed out as I can go. So we're going to get there. You know how I like to set up my edge to edges. If you don't, I have a video for that. So I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to use 2 corner. And we'll go right here. 2 corner, and I'm going to come down here, 2 corner, and there we have it. I wonder if I can just leave you there and work here. We're gonna try to do this. So now I have my edge to edge set up, or not my edge to edge, my quilt. I don't know how long this was, because I'm Adam and I didn't measure. So it's 54 across. I'm going to say it's 70. I know it's not 70, but we're just going to say it's 70 high. And now I have my area set up. If you hit that and your area goes up, do what I did. When you're setting your area, start in the top left and then the bottom right, and then it will push it down. If you resize it and you see that your width is just super huge, that's because you're in modify, resize. Well, my lock is on, so I don't know. Sometimes when your lock is on, it will do some weird things with that area. So you can come in and you can turn it off, or you can hit undo and come back and do it, or just make it again. It doesn't take that long. But there's a weird thing when your lock is on. Sometimes it makes the whole thing bigger. I think it depends on what version Pro Stitcher you're on. I am the most current version, just let you know. I am running the beta 798. I haven't had many issues with it. There was the one time where it was just like stitching really weird, or it wouldn't stitch a row, but I mean, I worked my way around it and had it work. So I am going to, first I'm going to go to modify, and I want to reposition this to the top left. No, not reposition. I want to line this to the left and the top. So what I did is I told Pro Stitcher, use my area and stick the design in the top left corner of my area. So that's what's happening here. That's what a line does. And you'll see you have a horizontal, you have a vertical. I have a whole video on how a line works, so you can go watch that. I'm going to baseline that align because it does some weird things. And now I'm going to go to Pro Stitcher. No, I'm not. I'm going to go to repeat, and I want to repeat across this. So I'm horizontal, and I'm just going to throw in my repeats. It's okay if I go out the edge. I'm going to crop that side off. Anyway, you know me, I love to crop things. And so there's my first row. I'm going to baseline that. Now I'm going to go modify, edit, or edit, edit tab and duplicate. That's how I like to make a copy. And my next step is I want to modify, rotate, and I'm going to flip this. You would think it was mirror, but it's flip. Look at the icons. So now I've made the other side of that crosshatch, and now I can easily align to the left and the top. And now everything is set up and ready for me to stitch. I'm going to baseline that again, and let's zoom in and look at that crosshatch. And this is what it looks like. I love it. I think it looks great. Oops, I'm still on zoom. So we're going to zoom in there, and then I'm going to hit select and select those. All right, so now I want to see how the true size of this is going to be. I want to see what that 4-inch looks like. So I'm going to come and I'm going to hit this down here. This is my magnifying glass with a 1:1. That's going to show me true size on my screen, how big this design is. And I was looking for about the size of my palm. That is a really nice spacing. Now, if I was like, well, wait a minute, maybe I want it a little smaller, I can always go modify, resize, and change that height. Because remember, I was also looking at 3.5. And there we are. I might like 3.5 a little bit better. I think we're going to do 3.5. That's going to give us more crosshatches. But remember, I've already rotated or repeated this. So let's see if I align left and top. We're still just outside the edge. We want to make sure we go outside this edge. We're going to crop this off because we're going to crop it off. I don't want to skew or stretch this because then that crosshatch isn't really going to be a crosshatch anymore. If it wasn't, because I've already done all my repeats, I would open my design up again and set it to 3.5 and then do all the steps. Because I need it over here. Once you repeat and you baseline, you have a really long piece. So if I were to repeat it again, it would make it go way over here. It would work. You're still going to crop it off, but a lot of people would get confused because your design's sitting way over here. So I'm using 3.5. I have these two, and we're going to baseline these two together. And there are jumps in there. I just turned them off. So there's our jumps. So we can see everything that's going on, and I'll zoom in. So because I'm using 3.5, if I do 3 repeats, that's going to be 3, 6, 9, 10, 11. So we're going to do 3 repeats. So I'm going to go to repeat. You'll notice that I don't have any horizontal repeats over here because I've baselined this into one design. So that's fine. I'm not going to have any. So I'm going to go to vertical, and I'm going to hit repeat and repeat. So this is going to give me my 3, and I'm going to zoom in, and we're going to see there's a lot of jumps. I am stitching left to right every time. I find my machine is going to give me better results. I would rather move my machine over and stitch left to right than have to deal with thread breaks. It isn't that hard for me to do that, so this is how I prefer to do it. So now I have this section, and this is going to be my new design now. And this is where it gets a little bit confusing because we want to fill this whole row. We're used to hitting the fill button where we go to repeat and we hit fill and it fills it all up for us, but we don't want that. I need some gaps between this. So I've set up my rows, however many. You might be setting up 1 row, you might be setting up 2 rows, 3 rows. I'm setting up 3. I want to baseline this because I need Pro Stitcher to look at these 3 rows as one individual design. So now when I go to repeat, I'm staying on repeat. I'm going to go to vertical, and I'm going to add another repeat. And it's going to add it right there, but I don't want that. I want a gap. And I want this gap to be 3.5. And now it's going to make me the perfect size gap for me to create those 3.5-inch crosshatches. So basically, if I were to take this design and move it, that's where they're going to hit. So this is the perfect gap in there. And because I have it over here, I can just continue to add, oops, I hit the wrong button. I'm going to do my repeats. So I want 3.5 there. I can continue to hit this button, and it's going to make my gaps for me. The bottom's going to be a little bit weird because I'm going to have just the top. Oh, I hit the wrong button again. Just the top of one, or not even the top of one. We'll take care of that when we get there. I think I might, because what I don't want to do is cut this bottom row off just in case we need it. I don't think this quilt is 70 inches tall, But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to my modify, and let me think of how I'm going to do this. I want to go to area, and you don't have to do this step. I'm just going to make my area a little bit longer. I'm going to go to area select to make my area green, modify, resize, turn off my lock, and I'll just increase the height a little bit. Nope, because that's moving the top, so let's undo. We're just going to have to deal with 70, people. We're going to make it work. Again, I don't think it's going to get all the way down here. I think it'll quilt that out. So we'll see when we get there. If I have to, I can just move the designs down. It's not going to be a problem. I'm not worried about it. So yeah, there's a lot going on. Look at all those jumps there. It's a very busy design, but I mean, it's a crosshatch. So at this point, I want a baseline because I've got my design set up how I want it. You will notice, because I went to edit that area, my area is dashed. That's fine. It just means that I've changed it. And I did change it, but I changed it back. That's the important thing. So I'm ready to stitch this. Oh, no, I'm not. One more thing. I'm going to crop, and this whole bottom row is going to get deleted. I want to hit outside. It left a few points. I am not going to close my edges on this. If you close your edges, sometimes what it's going to do, it's going to do your zigzag, get here and want to stitch all the way back to do the next row, and then get here and then stitch all the way back on the top. That's great, but if it does it over here, it's going to run into your bar once you've advanced. So I'm not going to close my edges. It's a long jump, so it's going to long jump pause anyway. So everything is ready to go, except I need to baseline. So that is kind of setting this up. What we're going to do. I'm not sure why those jumps turned orange, but they're orange, and that's fine. I can deal with that. Maybe because, why am I moving the design? Undo. That's weird. That's weird because I'm not even touching the design. We'll do this. So this is what it's going to look like. We're going to have all those gaps. So this is what it's going to look like. We're going to have all of those gaps in here, and that's fine. That's what we want, and that's what we're looking for. Oh, that's why it was selecting the design. Sometimes crop does weird stuff. You know what I'm going to do? I am going to see how I have an endpoint down here. So if it does weird stuff, you have to figure out how to get rid of it or just deal with it. I mean, it's not a problem. What's going to annoy me is I have a bottom house refresh, and this is how it's refreshing. I'm going to zoom in over here. And my endpoints right here, it was just taking the top of some of those designs. So I'm going to go to Pro Stitcher, New Start End. In my end column, I have these jumps. I'm just going to hit up, and I want my jump right there. Perfect. And we're going to go Modify, Crop, Start and End. And you'll see that it erased everything after that jump, and then we'll baseline it one more time. And now I fixed it. So it's just a matter of figuring out how to erase what you don't want. All right, so now it's time to stitch. I'm going to stitch this first section out, and then we'll come back and we'll look at advancing and getting that row made in between. One other thing, you're going to notice I do not have side clamps on. I'm using a wide back, so I'm going to zoom out really quick so you can see. So there's no side clamps over there, and there's a lot of extra fabric over here, and that's basically why. I'm using a wide back, but I didn't want to center it on the wide back. I am using my zipper leaders in conjunction with my magnet leaders, so the magnets have the top, but zippers on the back. Oh, I love those zippers. Quilting Connection, give them a call. Quilting Connection Wisconsin, give them a call and say, Adam told you about the zippers. Sorry if you're getting dizzy. They are fantastic. I love them. And I usually use them for everything, but when I'm not centered, and this is not centered on the backing, I can't use the zippers because the zippers want to use the center to, I probably could figure out a way, but the zippers want to use the center to keep everything nice and square. So I'm going to stitch this first section out, and we'll see you back here when it's done. Also, I do have my glide foot 3 on, so I have that nice big hole and the nice sturdy shank. Okay, so I started my stopwatch. It's currently at 4:03. I didn't do the first zigzag, so that took about 4.5 minutes to do the first 6 rows. So even though it's not stitching back and forth, and I was moving it back and forth, it doesn't take that long to do all this. Now I want to bring you up close to see. This looks so good. Let me see, because you definitely can't see that, but surprise, you gotta watch the machine go back and forth. So there's my cross. It looks so good. And some designs, like there are some crosshatch designs in Pro Stitcher already that will do some of this, but it does it big in a bigger space where you can't get the squares quite this big to actually fit in your throat, especially if you have a smaller throat machine. So it did this one, then this one, then this one. So we'll see that everything met up pretty nice. You know me, I never try to be perfect about something. So if it was off a little bit, there isn't very many spots that I can even tell that it might be off. So I think it looks really good. Now I'm not using my side clamps. So the next rows might be off a little bit. My bad. I mean, I definitely should be using them, especially something that's this intricate. But when I add that center row that is not going to stitch, I make up for anything that might be a little bit off. So you'll see that when we do this. So I need to advance. So I'm going to advance this. Let me see if I can zoom you out. And we'll just pop you right here for a second. I'm going to advance this. And I want to advance this to a point where I can still get to the bottom of this row. I can't go too far. Remember, this is going to be empty, so it's going to look like things are okay. Now, I know that I need about this much space, so if I advance it to where this bottom row is about here, I can still stitch out. Oh, I need to actually go farther because I forgot that empty space. So I'll advance this. I'll be right back. All right, we're advanced, and you're going to see there's my crosshatch. And we're going to hope that I can still get my machine to that. I wasn't even paying attention. Yes. So remember, we're going to need that when we get to that step. I am going to stitch down my sides. I always stitch down my sides. Let me zoom you out really quick. And at one point, my back's going to be in your way. I always stitch down my sides just because I want to make sure everything is nice and flat. Helps keep things from moving. Ooh, let's change my stitches per inch. Usually I do the right side first because my machine is over here, but it wasn't, so. Because this is a jelly roll race, the sides aren't straight. Those are just the sides that I cut with the scissors, so I'm not too worried about it. Let's see, get all these little things off. I hate jelly rolls because of the pinked edges. So let me put my settings back to where they need to be. Now here's where the tricky stuff comes in. So I'm gonna bring you back over here and not like break things in my room. So we have a long jump pause. Great. I'm gonna hit cancel. I want to cancel out of this. I know what's going on. I know I stitched the first section. So my first thing is I need to advance this. All right. So I'm going to move my start point. So Pro Stitcher, new start end. And over here I'm going to use my jumps. And I want to move the start point to this point right here, which is the last start point that I stitched on. So I'm going to hit down, 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 and you're gonna see I'm gonna hit down, it's not gonna move. That's because two start points are on top of each other. Down one more. So now that's my start point. Now I'm going to, because I'm using Reposition Start Point to advance this, I'm gonna move my needle, my laser pointer, to this point right there where it was the last place to start. Take that off. And I'm not going to lean on my frame. For those of you who watch the channel, you know I'm horrible at that. So now my needle is right where I need it to be. So when we come over here, wrong one. So when we come over to our screen, it's not going to be anywhere near where it needs. Like, we're going to be outside our area and everything, and that's okay. Sorry about the glare from behind me. I'm going to go to Modify, Reposition, Start Point. It sticks the start point of the design right on my crosshairs. So this is the previous row. I'm not going to stitch this. I still have to move my start point one more time, but I've moved the design to where it needs to be. I know that I'm outside my area, so I did something right because my area this is where I started to stitch. So I'm going to do my checks. So what I'm going to do is I will move the machine, and then I'll move the camera. So I move the machine to a point, and then I come up to my screen, and I check to make sure it's on the same point. It is. It looks good. I'm going to move my machine over again. And then I'm going to, so I move my machine, laser light on a point, come back up, check my screen. That one's good. So now I know that those rows are ready to stitch. Now here's the thing, if it were off a little bit, which at some point this one is probably going to get off, I am building that center row that's not there yet. So that's where the beauty of this comes in. It's going to make it look perfect. So when you advance, this kind of is bridging the gap between your first design and your next design and filling those spaces in. So if something did get off a little bit, this is going to fix that. So now I need to do one more step before I stitch because I've already stitched this row and this is where the Pro Stitcher wants to start. I'm going to go to Pro Stitcher, New Start End, and under my jumps I'm going to come down one more. And now I'm going to do the next six lines, which is the next 3 rows. I am going to bring my machine towards me, and you're going to zoom, and then we'll zoom out. Make sure that my row fits. So, and then I can stitch this out. So I'm not going to record this stitch out process. Again, it's going to take me about 5 minutes, real time, and I'm just going to stitch this next section, and we'll see you right back here. All right, we are back. Oops, I lost my shoe. We are back, and we have our crosshatches. So we have the crosshatches we just did, with the crosshatches we previously did, and we have that blank spot. And we can see that, yeah, you can see it. Maybe if I move the light, it's all about the lighting and the shadows. So we need to build the section between here. So this is where we're going to come in, and we're going to use mark again. So let me bring you here. This is going to be hard to record because there's going to be a lot of movement. But let me get you here and turn this light off. I can't turn the light at the needle off because I need the lights. I need to be able to see what I'm doing. But let's see. There we are. All right, so we're back at our screen. I'm going to hit my bottom house refresh. It says log jump pause. I'll get rid of that, and I'm going to hit cancel again. And I have to hit cancel at this point because I need to be able to stitch and create a new design. And by not canceling out of there, I don't have the opportunity to go in and create that new design. So I'm going to go to my Pro Stitcher tab again. Oops, hold on. What did I just hit? So I'm in my Pro Stitcher tab. We're going to go New Start In. No, we're not. We're going to go to Record because I need to use that mark again. But I'm not going to use Snap to Grid. I don't want it to line up on a grid. I want it to line up exactly where I tell my Pro Stitcher to put it. So I'm going to move the camera, and I'll try to move around and keep you in focus. So I'm going to be hitting mark on the screen, or I'm going to be hitting my handlebar. So I'm going to go to my start point, that original start point, and I am going to hit mark. And I want my laser light right on it. And then I'm going to come diagonal to that next point, and I'm going to hit mark. Now I'm going to go up diagonal and hit mark. And I'm going to come down diagonal and hit mark. I don't even know if you can see that anymore. Yeah. Up and hit mark. And we're going to slide over. And now I'm going to hit my handlebar because that's how I would do it in real life. Mark. 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 And I'm just working my way across this. And you can see how fast it is, especially if you can hit your handlebar buttons. Don't lean on your poles. Uh-oh, now I wasn't paying attention. This is where I'm going. Don't lean on your poles. This is where, if by leaning on your pole, you are not going to be correct. And then when I get out over here, I don't have another place to mark because we cut off those ends. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball like a diagonal line and make it work. And when we look at our screen, you'll see the new zigzag I put in. It should line up pretty well with what is there, but it might not line up perfect, and that's okay. That's the whole point of this, is that if you advance and things don't line up perfectly, we're building in that center divider, we're building the bridge between these so that they look. So I want to show you how they don't line up perfect. It's off just a little bit from the design. Once it stitches out, we'll come back and look, but if I scroll, I can see that all of them are off just a tiny bit, a little more on the right side than on the left because of drift, and that's just the nature of quilting. Fabric is fluid. So now I have two options. I can either stitch this out, or I can build my next row, and I'm just going to build my next row. This is where Kelley would do one at a time. She doesn't like to do the two just in case something gets off, and you know me, it's just like whatever. So I'm going to go to the beginning of my next row, and on my screen for mark, let me zoom in on this, I have this jump button, and I'm going to hit jump, and it's going to ding my spot, and it shows me my new start point. It added a jump there, and now I can simply do the same thing and mark across these rows.
Starting your workout.
Apparently Siri thought I was working out. We're going to do this, and I'm going to finish this up really quick. There's my new built-in row. The bottom, no, they both look off. I'm just great. So I'm going to stitch this. I'll leave you here, and I'm going to zoom in, especially on the center, where we know that those lines did not look like they met up. So I'm just going to leave you there. I'll stitch this out really quick, and you'll see that it makes everything look perfect and how it's supposed to be. So when we look back here, it looks perfect. All of our lines line up. They're hitting those marks, and that's because we built that buffer in. And if I come back, oops, don't get dizzy. If I come back and I give you some light, and we look at that, it looks perfect. You can't tell that I built that bridge row in there. It just looks like a really great crosshatch. So now that we've done that, it's time to advance again. And basically I'm zoomed in as far as I can go. I was like, something's wrong with my camera. I was thinking something's wrong with my camera. So now we advance again, and we just continue that. I'm going to advance. I'm going to stitch this next section. I'm going to build in the row. Advance, stitch the next section, build in the row. And because I've made these sections nice and big, I shouldn't have to spend a ton of time building in rows. I should only have to build in a few. It just depends on how tall this quilt actually is. Okay, so I've advanced, we're back. We're ready to stitch that next section. But now we've done a few things different because we've canceled out of the whole program. We built in our edge to edge, or our bridge, and then we would advance. So there's a few things I want to do. First thing, I advance, I stitch on my sides. I always do that first. I need to make sure that I put it back on the correct stitches per inch. We have our row in there that we just stitched. So I'm going to go to Pro Stitcher, Record, and I'm going to hit this clear button over here on the side of Record. And that on our sidebar is going to get rid of that, what they call freehand, or the design we just digitized. We don't need it again. We're going to create it again when we need it. So now I'm going to select my design. I've already stitched the first section. I've stitched the second section, so we're going to go to Pro Stitcher tab, New Start End, and we need to jump that start point down to here. So I'm going to hit down. And remember, if I hit down again, it's not going to move, and that's because there's 2 points on top of each other, and that's fine. There we are. So now I have my start position in the correct spot. I'm going to move my machine to where that last row started. Where that last row I'm moving my machine, let me see if I can say this. I'm moving my machine to where the last row of the last section started. So my needle is right at that spot. There we are. My needle is right at that spot and ready to go. So we can go back up to our screen and modify, reposition, start point. We'll see everything moved up. That's fantastic. I'm going to do my checks. You know how to do that, so I'm not going to show you that. So we've run our checks. We've done everything. We now are ready to Pro Stitcher tab, New Start In, move that start down one more time. Oops, wrong button. I want you to see this. There we are. There's our start point currently. I'm going to move it down one more time. And now that's bringing us to the beginning of section number 3. And section number 3 is the section we're on to stitch. So I'm going to stitch this out. I'll see you when it's done. All right, so here we are. We have that little gap that we have to do. This section's done. It looks great. That section's done. It looks great. So now we have to do that little gap again. So I'm going to go through and... I'm all wrapped up. I'm going to go through, and real time, you can watch how fast this is to do. It doesn't take any time at all. I am going to hit cancel and Pro Stitcher record so I can get to my mark, and I'm going to mark that first row. I love the beep because the beep knows that you made it, and that it read that you hit your button. I just kicked the camera. Coming back to the beginning. Oh man, I looked at my screen and it didn't read that second one, so let's go clear and start over. Alright, so Pro Stitcher, record, and I'm going to use that mark. I love the beep. because you know that it read your finger, because I'm just hitting with my right handlebar. And remember, you can get a full in-depth on how to do this with the video that I made with Kelley. It is linked in the description below. So there's my first row. Coming back to my next row, I'm going to hit jump. Make sure it read it, because there's no ding for jump. And work my way across this way. And now I will bring you over. And that fast I've made it. It's set up and I'm ready to go. So I'm going to stitch this and I'm going to stitch the rest. I'm not going to record it because I feel like you've seen it. You know what you're doing. I will see you back here when it's done. Okay, everyone. We are done. It is quilted. It is crosshatch. It looks amazing. I'm so excited. This is such a cool technique. It makes your crosshatch look perfect. Even if it's off a little bit, nobody's gonna know. I really should have thought about like trimming my back and using my side clamps. That's gonna give you the best results. Anytime you use all of your things, your side clamps, you trim up straight edges, you do all that stuff, you're gonna get better results. I did find where I had a wrinkle in my batting that I didn't notice when I quilted it. Hey, whatever, I'm gonna wash it. We're gonna use it, so that's fine, whatever. I'm gonna bring you up close so you can see it. It looks so good. Before I do that, and that will I'll pull it off. That'll be our outro. Before I do that, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you're notified when new videos drop. I am making more videos recently, so they're coming out more often. What other? Well, now I forgot. Oh, follow me on social media, AdamSoFun with an SEW on Facebook and Instagram, where you see a lot of stuff that doesn't hit the channel. Oh, and TikTok. Follow Kelley Janome and Micki. They'll be down with their links below on Instagram and Facebook. And We Also channel. I just love that one on Facebook. It's a group. Yeah, I can't think of what else. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's just quilting. We want to have a good time. Get out there, do some cross hatchings, and have a good time doing it. I'm going to bring you close so you can see it as I unveil it. And we will see you in the next one, everybody. Bye, guys.